Hello, welcome back to the continuation of Sharpen Your Brain with Mental Mathematics Made Simple, Part 4. In this part of the video, we are looking at squaring of numbers. So everything in this part of the video is going to be dealt with squaring of numbers. And we are going to square numbers in different categories. In fact, we have a lot of tricks involved here. And every set of number has got its own trick. And so if you go through all the videos together, you might even forget some of the tricks. So my advice here is that if you master one particular trick of squaring a particular number, let's say if I say a number that ends with 5, and you know how to square all numbers that end with 5, practice that one for some time and come back to a number that begins with 5, or a number that ends with 1, a number that begins with 9, or something of that sort. Don't learn everything together, else you get confused. They are very simple, but you have to master them. So anytime you come across a number and it ends with 1, then you know how to multiply that number by itself within a twinkle of an eye. And so let's start with a number that ends with 5. 5 up to 95. If I come across any of these numbers and I want to square it, what should I do? The steps involved are this. You first have to take the tens part of the number and add 1 to it. Then you multiply the original tens part of the number by the new number after adding the 1. You always attach 25 behind it, and that will be your answer. Let's take example. So we want to take example like we have 25 and we want to square it. Squaring 25 means we are multiplying 25 by 25. And so what we have to do is that we consider the 10th part, that this part of the number, and add 1 to this number. When you add 1 to this number, you get 3. Now 3 times the 2 will give you 6. Automatically attach 25 to the 6, and that is the answer for 25 squared. 625. What it means here is that all numbers that ends with 5, if you square them, you always end with 25. Your last value will be, or the last 2-digit number of that square number will be 25. So if I have 35 squared, mentally this is what I will do. I'll quickly add 1 to the 3 here and I'll get 4. Then I'll multiply the 4 by the 3, which will give me 4 times 3, and the answer is 12. Then automatically I will attach 25, and that is the answer for 35 squared. Isn't that amazing? This is really, really amazing. Thank God for those who came out with this particular trick. It's a wonderful trick that will help you speed up your math calculations. What do you think will be the answer for 75 squared? Pause the video and give me the answer. I believe you did this. 7 plus 1 is 8. So 8 times 7 is 56. Then we attach 25. And so our answer will be 5,625. What about 8 5 squared? What will you do? Pause the video, say the answer to yourself, and let's see what happens. You first add 1 to the 8. And when you add 1 to 8, you get 9. And you multiply that 9 by the original 8 here. And so 8 times 9, remember 9 times 8, you subtract 1 from 8 and you get 7. And so 70 what? 7 plus what will give you 9? 7 plus 2. And so 9 times 8 is 72. Then automatically we attach 25 and we see the answer as 7,225. Keep practicing with the rest of the numbers that are, or that comes with 5. I mean, that have their ending number as 5. This thing can work for even 3-digit numbers. Let's say if I have 125 and I want to square it, then I'll pick the first number before the 5, which is 12. I'll add 1 to 12 and that will give me 13. So I'm going to do 13 times 12. And that we know how to do this because we've learned how to multiply two numbers that start with 1. And that will give me 156. That means 12 times 13 is 152. And 152, automatically I will attach 25. And so my answer becomes 15,225. So keep practicing and you will overcome this. The next is to square 2-digit number beginning with 5. The first one was ending with 5. And this time around we are looking at a number that begins with 5, like 51, 52, 53, 54, etc., etc. Now to do this, we square the first digit, that is the 5, and add the second digit to the squared 5. Then you square the second number and add it to the first result, and that becomes your answer. Example can be, let's say 54, and we want to square it. Because 54 begins with 5, we first have to square the 5, which is 25. Then we add the 4 to the 25, which will give you 29. And 29 is the first 2 digits of the answer. Then we square the second digit, which is the 4. And squaring 4 means you get 16. Attach 16 to the first. And this is the answer for 54 squared. That means 54 times 54 will give you 2,916. You can do this mentally. Very cool. If I have 52 and I want to square it, you can guess the answer or try it on your own. When you square the 5, you get 25. Then you add the 2 to 25, which will give you 27. So that is the first part of your answer. Then you look at the 2 alone and square it, which will give you 4. But the 4 should be 04 because we need it in 2 digits to get the answer to be correct. You can try for, let's say, 57 squared, meaning we are doing 57 times 57. Again, we look at the first digit, 5, we squared it, is 25. Then we add 7 to the 25, which will give us 32. Then 32 becomes part of our answer. In our mind, we have 32. Then quickly square the 7, which will give you 49. So you say your answer as 3249. 3249, which you can say 3,249. Let's try the last one. Let's say I have 55 squared. And here, what will I do again? I will just take the first number, square it. I get 25. Add the second number to it, and that will give me 30. So 30, then I know 5 squared is 25. So I get 25. 30, 25 is the answer. You need to practice the first one, the one that ends with 5. Master it before you come to the one that begins with 5, so don't get confused when you come across numbers of this sort. Keep practicing, and I hope you are going to overcome it. The next we want to look at is squaring 2-digit number beginning with 4. Example can be 41, 42, 43, 45, 49, etc. So to do this, what we have to do first is to find the difference between the two numbers. The difference between the number and 50, rather. We subtract the difference from 25. And the result becomes the first 2 digits of the answer. Then we square the difference in the first one and attach the result to the second step. and that becomes our answer. Example, as let's say 46 squared. Remember that 46 squared is the same as 46 times 46. And so we first keep the 46 here and subtract it from 50. And so 46 minus 50, 50 minus 46 will give us 4. This 4 is very important to us. So keep the 4 in mind and subtract this 4 from 25. So do 25 minus 4 and the result will be 21. And this 21 is first part of our answer, or first 2 digits of our answer. Then this same 4 that we had as the difference between the 50 and then the 46, we square this 4, which will give us 16. We attach the 16 to this. And so 46 squared will give me 2,116. I think that is very cool. Another example will help you understand better. Let's see another example as maybe 47 and want to square this. I'll first take this number from 50, and I know that 50 minus 47 is 3. Then subtract this 3 from 25. That 25 is automatic for squaring numbers of 44 or number that begin with 4. So 25 minus 3 will give me 22. Then I'll square this number alone, which will give me 9. But here I will say 0, 9 because I will need 2 digits to attach. So the answer becomes 2,209. You can try for 42 squared. Try for 42 squared. You can pause the video and give your answer. Try doing it mentally, or you can do it with pen and paper. When you overcome it, you do it mentally. Now, 42, when we subtract 42 from 50, we have 8. And this 8 is subtracted from 25, which will give us 17. So we have 17. Then we square this 8, being the difference of 42 and 50. And so when we square 8, we know 8 squared will be 64. And so 64 comes here. So our answer will be 1,764 for squaring 42. Meaning 42 times 42 is 1,764. Try it for 43 and give me your answer. I believe your answer was this: 1,849, and that is the answer. Keep practicing, and I hope you are going to get hold of this. The next thing we want to look at is squaring 2-digit number beginning with 9. Remember, I've already told you that there are a series of tricks involved in squaring, and every number or every trend of number has got its own style. And so don't learn everything together, else you get confused as you go on learning. So keep one trick at a time, master it, come back to the video, and then take another trick, master it, and little by little you can multiply or square any number that comes your way. This time I want to look at a number that begins with 9. Example, 90, 91, 92, 93, and so on and so forth. Now the steps involved are very simple. Find the difference between the number and 100, like we did for that of the 4. Subtract the difference from the original number, this time not a strange number like 25. And the result is the first 2 digits of the number. Square the difference in the step 1 and attach the result to the answer in step 2. So we'll take example quickly and see how it works. Let's start with example 1. That's 97 squared. Remember that 97 squared means 97 times 97. Now, what we are supposed to do is that we subtract this particular number from 100. So we are doing 100 minus 97. And the answer is 3. And 3 is very important to us. Now we subtract this 3 from the original 97. And that will give us 94. Now, we take this same 3, that's the difference between the 100 and the 97, the same 3 here, and we square it. When we square 3, we get 9. And because we need 2-digit number, we make it 09. And so 97 times 97 is 9409. Let's try it for 94 squared. We subtract this from 100 and the result will give us 6. Now we subtract this 6 again from the original 94, which of course is very simple in doing subtraction. That is when we get to the tricks in subtraction, you can see that this can be done easily without struggling. And so 94 minus 6 is 88. Now, the 88 is the beginning part of our answer, or the first 2 digits of our answer. Now we square the 6 again, and that will give us 36. And so 94 squared is 8,836. You can try it for maybe 98 and see. I believe you had 9,604. That is, you first subtract this number from 100, and that will give you 2. Subtract 2 from 98, and you get 96. You square these 2, and that will give you 4. And so you made it 04, and that is your answer. You can try again for 96. Try again for 96 and see. 96 squared. Try it for 91 squared. Pause the video and try it. I believe for 96, your answer gave you 9,216. And again, you subtract this from 100, you get 4. Subtract 4 from this and you get 92. Square the 4, you get 16, and that becomes your answer. And this one too, what is your answer? Did you get 8,281? Good. That means you've mastered it. You subtract this one from 100, and you get 9. 9 from this number will give you 82. When you square 9 alone, you get 81, and that is your answer. Well done. Let's move on to the next. The next thing we want to look at is to square 2-digit number that ends with 1. Now, with this, we can think of 21 as a number that ends with 1, 31, 41, 71, 81, 91, 51, and so on and so forth. Now, in doing this, the first thing we have to do is to square the 10th digit. Multiply the result by 100, or attach 2 zeros. Then we add the tens of the number and number itself. Then finally, we add the immediate answer to the first. So we'll take example to this and see how squaring of a 2-digit number that ends with 1, how it works. So let's start with example. Take example. We'll start with, let's say, 21 squared. And based on what we've just gone through, we are saying that to multiply 21 by itself, pick the first number, the 10th digit, and then square it. So when I square 2, I get 4. Then I will attach 2 zeros to it. That is multiplying by 100. So that will be one part of my answer. I have that in mind. Then the 10th digit here is, the digit over here is 20. So I'll add a 20 to the 21, the original 21, which will give me 41. Then I'll add a 41 to the 400, and I can do that mentally to give me 441. And so 21 squared is 441. It's quite complicated, but you can still do it when you overcome it. I mean, when you keep practice. Let me try again. 21 squared means square the first 20 or the first 2, and that will give you 4. Attack 2 zeros and call it 400. Add a 20 to the 21, the existing 21, and that will give you 41. And you attach it to, or you add it to the existing answer, and that will be 441. Again, let's say I have 41 and I want to square it. It ends with 1. I'll first square this one, the first 4, to give me 16, and attach 2 zeros. So that'll be 1600. Then I add this 4, call it in 10, so it will be 40. Add it to the 41, and that will be 81. So I'll add 81 to this number, which will be 1681. And so 41 squared is 1641. Again, let's try it for maybe 71. For 71, I'll first square the first 7, and that will give me 49. So I have that 49 in mind. I will attach 2 zeros to call it 4900. Then I add a 70 to 71 because of the 7. So I'll call it 70 and add it to 71, which will give me 141. And so I'll add 141 to the existing number, and that will give me 5041. And so 71 squared is 5041. If you practice this over and over and over again, you'll surely overcome it. So keep practicing. Let's try for maybe 61 squared. Pause the video and tell me your answer, or say the answer to yourself. Okay, so I believe your answer is this. You square 36 and that will give you, so you square 6 and that will give you 36. And you attach your 2 zeros, call it 3600. Then you add the 6, which is 60, to the 61, which will give you 121. And when you add 121 to this, you get 3721. And so 61 squared is 3721. The next method we want to look at is squaring two-digit numbers from 10 to 99. Remember, all this while we were dealing with squaring of two-digit numbers, but we're having tricks in dealing with them, especially some special numbers like a number that ends with 5, that begins with 5, that ends with 9, that begins with 1, and the rest. But what if you are given any general two-digit number and you are supposed to multiply it by itself, and that number doesn't fall into the category of those numbers that we've done earlier? And so this time around, I want to look at this particular principle with two methods, which is called up-down method if the last digit is greater than 5, and down-up method if the last digit is less than 5. So like the first one that we did, those ones were special. If generally I give you a number like maybe 38, and 38 has no trend as to whether it ends with 5 or begin with 5 or begin with 1 or end with 1 or 4 stuff. So if I want to square 38, I'll first check the last digit, that is the unit digit, that is the 8 here. If 8 is greater than 5, then I'll go by the first method. But if it's less than 5, I'll go by the second method. They are almost the same, just that because of the last digit, whether it is closer to the 10th or is closer to the 10th less or closer to the 10th up. That's what we are going to do now. And so we'll take series of example, and then we'll see how we can learn or we can square general two-digit numbers. We will start with squaring two-digit number using up-down method. Up-down method. So we'll take example like maybe 38, and we want to square 38. So what we do is that we first look at 38 and ask ourselves, what is the closest tenth to 38? And you realize that 38 is very close to 40. And we move 2, or we add 2 to the 38 to get to that 40. And so here we have plus 2. That gave us the 40. In that case, then we have to move down, 2 steps down. And when we move 2 steps down, more or less subtracting 2 from 38, we'll get 36. So the next thing we have to do is to look at the 40 here and look at the 36 here and multiply them. So you are going to multiply 40 by 36. Now, how do we get a 40? We saw that the closest tenth, or the tenth boundary to 38 is 40. And we move 2 plus 38 to give us the 40. So you have to subtract the same 2 from 38 and get 36. So these two extreme numbers, we multiply them together. And if you look at 40 times 36, we've not learned any trick in doing this. We are going to learn how to multiply 1-digit number by 2-digit number in the next part of the video. But for now, if you are confronted with 40 times 36, it's very simple. You can ignore your 0 for the meantime, this 0 for the meantime, and multiply 4 times 36. And 4 times any number has been treated earlier. Then you double the number and double it again. So if I double 36, I get 72. And I double 72, I'll get 144. And so 144, because there's a 0 here that I ignore, I will really attach that 0 to it. And so I get 1440. So 1440 is part of my answer, or the interim answer. Now, these two, that gave me the differences, moving up to the closest tenth and moving down to get the 36. The 2 here is very important to me this time around. I'll square these 2. And when I square these 2, I get 4. Add 4 to the existing 1440. And I'll get 1444. And that is the answer for squaring 38. It's a long process, but you can practice this with paper and pen, and as you keep practicing, you see that you overcome it. And when you can engage your brain to do this, that means your brain is moving or is improving, and it's becoming stronger and stronger and sharper. What we did right now is this. We want to square 38. We look at 38, its closeness to the 10th digit, and because the 8 over here is greater than 5, we go up down method. We move it up to the closest 10th, and that is 40. And because we added 2 to 38 to get a 40, we subtract 2 down from 38 to get 36. Then we multiply the top 40 and the down 36, and that will give us this answer, and that answer is kept. Then because the 2 was a difference, we square the 2 and we add it to the existing number, and that is our answer. As simple as that. Let's take another example and see. Let's say this time around I want to multiply, or want to do 67 squared. Remember, 67 is not part of any of the categories that we've learned. And so we'll start by saying 67. What number is close to 67 in terms of tens? It means I have to move up. And the closest tenth to 67 is 70. And from 67 to 70, it means I add 3 to get a 70. So I have to subtract 3 from 67. And that will give me 64. And so this, I have 70 to multiply by 64. Now, so for 70 times 64, I'm only going to do 7 times 64, and then later I will attach 0 to it. And so it's not so much difficult, because anytime you come to the second part of the process of, or the third part of the process to multiply, you always have 0 attached to one of the numbers. So you ignore the 0 and use it as single number times 2-digit number. The next video, I'm going to learn how to multiply a single digit number by any 2-digit number in general. And so that trick will help you to master this very well. But for now, the trick is this. Because I'm going to multiply 7 times 64, I'll first do 7 times 60, or 7 times 6. And I know 7 times 6 is 42, so I'll call it 420. 420 in mind. Then quickly do 7 times 4, and 7 times 4 is 28. So I'm going to add 28 to the 420, which will give me 448. And so I know my answer will be 448. Then don't forget your 0 here, you attach it to it. And so you get 4,480. It seems to be a long process, but if you are doing it mentally, you can do with your tricks and then get what you want. So I have 4,480 as the answer for 70 times 64. Then I'll quickly square the difference here, the 3. And that will give me 9. And add 9 to this number. So I'll get 4,489 as my answer for squaring 67. Let's take maybe final example. This time around, let's take a number like, I want to multiply 76 squared. And so I'll just keep my 76 in mind. And 76 is so close up to 80. It means I'll add 4 to that to get the 80. Quickly, I'll subtract 4 from the 76. That will give me 72. So I'm going to now do this multiplication. 8, 0 times 7, 2. And again, I will ignore my 0 and multiply 8 times 72. And 8 times 72 or 70 will be 560, because 8 times 7 is 56. So 8 times 70 is 560. And 8 times 2 is 16. So when I add 16 to 560 mentally, I'm going to say 576. That is, adding 16 plus 560 will give me 576. And I will attach my 0, don't forget it, because I was having 0 here, which I didn't use earlier. And so 80 times 72 is 5,760. Then I'm going to now square the 4 difference here. When I square 4, I know it's going to give me 16. So I'm going to add 16 to 5,760. So that will give me 5,776. And so 76 squared is 5,776. I think that is very cool. This time around, let's see a number close or less than, the second digit less than 5. Like 63. See that 63 is very close to 60 than close to 70, because the second digit here is less than 5. So I'm going to use down up method. Down up method. And so down, the closest 10th digit or the 10th boundary to 63 will be considered as 60. And how did we get to the 60? We subtracted 3 from here to get the 60. And so we'll add 3 to the 63 to get, so here we're going to do plus 3, and that will give us 66. Then again, we multiply these two numbers. So we multiply 66 by 60. Have you seen it? So down method means, or down up method means, you come down to the closest tenth, which is 60. because we did subtract 3 from 63, we have to add 3 to 63 and get 66, and these two extreme numbers are multiplied. Again, we can ignore our 0 and multiply 6 by 66. So 6 times 60 here, or saying 6 is 36, right? So 6 times 60 will give us 360. Then 6 times 6 again will give us 36. So we add 36 to 360, which will be very easy to handle. That will give us 396. And then we attach our 0. And so for the first part of the answer, we have 3,960. Okay, now again, we are going to square the difference. That is the 3 differences. We square the 3 differences. Whether we pick it from here or there, it will be the same. Because when I square negative 3, I will get 9. And when I square positive 3, I get the same 9. So when I square 3, I get 9. Then I'll add a 9 to the existing answer here, which will give me 3,969. And 3,969 is the answer for squaring 63, meaning 63 times 63 is 3,969. You can keep practice this, and then I know you are going to get over it. Let's try this number. Maybe you can try this on your own. 32. You want to do 32 squared. 32 squared. Try it. You can pause the video and try it. I believe this is how you did it. You move down to the closest 10, and that will be 30. And because you move down by 2, you need to add a 2 to this and go up 34. That means plus 2. Then you multiply the 30 by 34. So 30 times 34. Again, we are going to do 3 times 34. And 3 times 3 is 90. So 3 times 30 is 90. 90 plus 3 times 4, which is 12. So 90 plus 12 will give us 102. So 102. And we attach our 0. And so 30 times 34 is 1020 or 1020. Then we square the 2 here, which of course when we square the 2, we get 4. And so we add the 4 to this and say 1024. And so 32 squared should give us 1024. Let's take the last example. Let's try 84. And we want to square 84. And so you can pause the video once again and try 84. And let's see the results. Okay, I believe your answer went this way. Because 4 here is less than 5, we have to go down first. So we go down to 80, that's the closest tenth. And here we did subtract 4 from 84 to get the 80. And so we have to add the same 4 here to get 88. And so we move down to multiply 88 by 80. And so you are going to do 8 times 88. And 8 times 80 is 640. 640. And we do another 8 times 8, which is 64 again. And so you're going to add 64 to this, which will give us 704. So the 704, we attach our 0 over here, and that is the interim answer. Now we saw that it was 4 that we subtracted first before we added the same 4. So the difference of that 4 is we squared it. We squared the 4, which will give us 16. So 16 plus 7040 will give us 7056. And so 84 squared, or 84 times 84, will give us 7056. Keep practicing this and you'll soon overcome it. You can pick a particular day to learn this trick and practice it throughout your day. By the time the day ends, you might have mastered it. And you congratulate yourself if you can do this mentally. It means you are learning, you are improving, you are doing a lot of work to your brain. You can't be an academia without learning or without exercising your brain. So keep exercising and you get over it. With this, we come to the end of the part 4 of this series. Watch out for part 5.